feel like to be back at the Galle Literary Festival?
It's a great pleasure. It's my third time here now, and my fifth visit to this wonderful country. And every time I come to Galle, I'm happy.
Okay. In a past interview, you have spoken about the role of social media, which is playing a huge role now in people's lives. In that interview, you spoke about social media spreading harmful views and your belief that because of that, writers are self-censoring. Could you tell us what happened for you to make such a statement?
Well, I think there are two things here that you're connecting. The first is social media harmful? I believe it is. This year I gave up most social media. So for example, Twitter or X, I've now cut out of my life. I feel much better for it. There is too much hatred, too much anger, too much violence almost on social media. People at each other's throats, and I think it is doing a lot of harm to us and to literature and to civility. The other side of that argument is the judgment, the new censoriousness of the age we live in, where everybody is being judged, which does make life difficult now for writers who are finding their freedoms prescribed. We have to fight this. Writers must write what they believe, what they want. We cannot allow public pressure and social media to push us into the corner.
Do you think this whole woke movement has played a part in it?
I'm not opposed, broadly speaking, to woke. In its original form, woke is about being considerate, about thinking about other people, about not hurting people's feelings, and there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes when the punishment, if you step out of line, is so huge. Cancellation, no more work, no more life, no more ability to walk into the street. There's sort of, again, this hatred that social media is so ready to direct against people who step out of line. That is the danger.
Right, okay. So you also wrote some books on James Bond. What were your biggest challenges when you were writing those books?
Well, your question is very much directed to what you've just been asking, because the biggest challenge for James Bond is to be true to the original, to the books that were written in the 1950s and the 1960s, and yet not offend modern sensibilities. People think of Ian Fleming or Bond as being sexist, as being racist, as being many IST words attached to it. He wasn't. It was just a different time. We cannot judge the work of the 1950s and 60s by the standards and morality of the 2020s.
Yes.
And that is the challenge.
Right. And when you were writing those books, where did you get your inspiration from? Because you just mentioned it was a different era, and now we are in another era. So how did you, or where did you get this inspiration
Well, for my continuation novels, for the James... I began with the books themselves. Since I was 8 years old, I have loved James Bond, the books more than the films. And by rereading the books and trying to get into the mind of Ian Fleming, into the times and the world of it. So the first book, for example, looked at the Korean War. The second one was about drug smuggling, heroin smuggling in Marseille. Huge problem back in the 50s. The third book looks at the Cold War and takes place immediately after The Man with the Golden Gun. The inspiration came from reading the books and then stepping outside them and continuing them.
Just throwing this question to you, would you like to see Idris Elba as a James Bond?
I've learned not to make comments about casting of James Bond characters. It's a very dangerous world to get involved with because everybody has an opinion, and something about Bond makes people become quite extreme in their views and their such. So I'm very much looking forward to there being a new James Bond, and who that person is. There are many great actors out there, including Idris Elba. I'd be very happy to see.
Okay, now you also write scripts for Midsummer Murders, which is like a really popular TV series. How different is it writing a script for Midsummer Murders as opposed to writing a book?
Well, a script is shorter. A script is a collaboration, so what I write on the page is going to need 50 more people to realise and to make happen. A book is entirely me, my world. There's no budget with a book. I can blow up the world if I want to. I can have spaceships landing. I can have wars. I can have anything I want because it's all in my imagination. So I think that a book is a more intense experience, a more personal experience. For me, it's a more valuable experience in a strange way. The fact that so many young people have learned the joys of reading because of my books is a great pride of my life. They're two very different worlds. I will say though, I enjoy them equally.
Okay, and now you have the distinct honor of being having created more mysteries than any other living author. Personally, what does that mean to you?
I wonder if it's true. I mean, I have written a lot of books, but not that many mysteries, in fact. Quantity is not important to me. Quality is. When I write a new book, my one aim, my one hope is that the book will be better than the one before. I'm not saying I always succeed with this, but to me there is no point writing formula. There's no point writing the same book 20, 30 times simply to be the most mystery writer, biggest mystery writer in the world. It's important to me that each book should be really special and different and finding new territory, and that's what motivates me.
Right. And growing up in England, I presume, who were your literary influences?
Well, Ian Fleming was one, obviously, so Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes would be another. Charles Dickens is my great love in life, the greatest writer of all, in my view, and I've read his books many times. Tintin, Hergé's Tintin, that was the first book I read when I was like about 8 or 9 years old and loved. And Hergé's influence is all over my work. Secret passages, comedy, adventure, travel, mysteries, that's where that all begins. It's an interesting thing that every book I read as a child has influenced me in my life.
Right, it's never left you.
That's why it's so important for young people to read, because if you read when you are 8 to 18, that period, these books change you, they humanize you, they give you an understanding of the world, they connect you. And that's why it's so sad that in England, I think at the moment we're seeing a gentle decline in reading amongst young people. For the first time in a survey, more than 50% of children admitted they do not enjoy reading in their spare time. That's a terrible statistic.
Yeah. And so this leads to my next question. What top 3 tips can you share with our viewers and readers who are considering a career in writing?
Don't consider it, do it. That's my first tip. My second tip is enjoy your writing. If you're not enjoying it, something has gone wrong. Writing shouldn't be a struggle, it shouldn't be a slog. The third and most important thing, and this is true for anybody, not just people who want to be a writer, believe in yourself. Without self-confidence, you will never succeed. And I always say there's only one difference between a successful writer and an unsuccessful writer. The unsuccessful writer stops. Don't stop. Believe in yourself. Keep going.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Anthony, and I hope you have a good festival.
As always, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.